I had to try to start out the vibe with something that everybody could sort of just relate to, and I think both those records did that. But the confusion and the debate that we're sort of facing after talking about those two records is the following. The ups and downs that both these guys bring to the table. Again, Pac easily sort of, at that time, before any kind of charges or alleged charges were thrown around or whatever, he was trying to uplift the community. He had records that that we're going to talk about tonight. Respectfully, this round we're going to bring up Keep Your Head Up. And then we had the other side of things, which was the Snoop, again, sort of bringing that same sort of West Coast stand-up gangster material, because it was all gangster rap back then. They weren't bringing it out. They were in gangs back then. But long story short, Snoop's version of bringing his, sort of West Side story to the table was very much the opposite end spectrum of what kind of Pac was bringing, right? And as close as a record as I can get to Keep Your Head Up, the exact opposite, and I do this on purpose.
Yo.
To show how both guys G's up, hoes down versus Keep Your Head Up.
You chose G's up, hoes down? Wow.
Listen to the sample. Listen to the sample.
Okay, fair enough. You cleaned that up really well.
He did.
Yo,
this got cut from the album originally.
I know. Yo.
This got cut from the album.
Yeah, really.
If you did not want to go back and find out about where this sample was from or where they got that sound from, you just wasn't a fan. You just wasn't a fan of music.
Yeah, he didn't want to clear the sample. But he realized with X amount of, well, technically speaking, and we know this number probably to be a little bit low. Snoop's debut album has been sort of rumored, again, not according to RIAA numbers, but to our god Wikipedia, to be about 7 times platinum. It would go with 11 times platinum worldwide sort of number thrown around.
Right.
I believe it.
Wikipedia, RIAA has it listed at 4. I definitely don't think that's 4.
Remember, it came out redigitalized back in like 09, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Again, it's a 7 times. I'll throw the number 7 out there. Just like I said, I think that's a believable number, and it's also his highest selling album to date. Every album after that either went platinum, gold, or like double platinum. Never anything higher than that. So this is like his baby, if you will, which maybe want to explain why he maybe wanted to buy the whole thing back, right? I don't know if that includes that album, but I could see why he maybe want that back. So again, that mellowed out track talking about the ladies, Snoop's POV of the lifestyle, right, that he introduces to us as kids that we're all listening to. She's up, hoes down. Versus on the other side of the spectrum ideology, right? That of being Keep Your Head Up, and that of being, sort of like a push in that direction, like we're here to help. You're not alone, sis. And it's still a good ass record.
It's a great record, and how many times can you say Pac has an absolutely amazing produced record, right?
I mean, yeah. This is a hot record, man.
That's a great record.
It's a great record.
That's a great record.
This record was getting him crossover play at a time when records,
yeah, for sure,
from our world weren't getting crossover records at that time. Far and few. You know what I'm saying? Your Cypress Hills, your Naughties, and this is a classic example.
This played on MTV. Very
all the time
in rotation. It was just on MTV Raps.
Wasn't this after he had the incident where he shot the 2 cops?
Yeah,
was that after? And like I feel like this was like a redemption song for him almost, man. Like he put and now unfortunately we were talking about it in the chat a little bit. He had the incident with the rape accusations after this. But so like the dichotomy of it, but this was like a redemption song for him. Like everybody's like, I think this is where now, Ike, I don't know if this is around the time when the lady started to love you with the Tupac lookalike. but I mean,
love you long time.
The ladies was loving Tupac around this time. He could do no wrong, right? Like this was like
he could do no wrong. Yeah, he could do no wrong. Yeah, he could do no wrong.
The thing about Keep Your Head Up, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Speak on it.
The thing about Keep Your Head Up, though, is like starting with the sample. Ooh Child is a very, it's one of the more popular songs, right? In this use of a sample. So when we talk about that familiarity and what happens and how we connect with music, it's that same thing. This feels familiar. I'm listening, my ears are perked because it feels familiar, and now you're saying something on top of it. And what he was saying was dope and gave a great opportunity for something, you know, to really be said.
That's an interesting point that you brought up. I think at that same time, Boys in the Hood it came out, and that was a pretty heavily played record at the beginning of the movie.
Soon after, but I'm gonna fuck you up, Jules, and let me tell you why.
Do it.
He means like this, not like this. Relax.
No.
Triple C
I mean
like
like this.
That's what I meant, like this, like your finger against my head, like.
I'm gonna fuck you up because you paired these songs together. Now I thought where you were gonna go.
It's the vision of the ladies.
But I thought you were gonna talk about Lady Rage, who was my motherfucking bitch.
Wow, well, that's an interesting. See, this is why we need to more often.
About him, who he still stands for, still fucks with, and speaks to the character of who Snoop is by the people who he's kept around and the relationships he's maintained and why you see his long-term success and all of that. So I thought you were going to pair the support of women to a song about the support of women.
That, you know what? That's interesting because again, I really do dig your point of view on that so much. I really do. And ironically, just to speak, just to add on to what you were saying about Lady Rage, let's be clear. She's right. Snoop literally has her open on his album. She's
one of the
complete
opening
to the Jay-Z situation. Like she opens up, and we already heard Rage at this point on the Chronic, but he didn't have to put her first.
No.
But the first rap you hear is her.
Man, that track was so dope. It had to put that.
Yeah.
I mean, are we gonna call an audible? Should we switch up? Should we?
Nah.
I wasn't gonna let it happen anyhow. I was just teasing y'all. Y'all hope. That's it.
I respect your rationale and I respect your decision in that regard. I definitely.
There are women at this point in time. We're talking 93, early 90s, like I said, that weren't offended by being, called the bitch and a hoe and all that, and some that were. Again, I think that still treads today. But this is Snoop's, if you want to, young, and we can blame it what it is, sort of misogynistic point of view at that point in time, with Pac's sort of feminist, sort of view at that same point in time. But again, the point I'm trying to drill here is both guys are like, again, gangster rap. And you have these two different POVs of what they consider to be sort of records about women.
No,
I would let that ride, except.
Oh, wow. I was almost there. Almost there.
I would let you get away with that, but Tupac did the sequel to Humps and a Bump, where I Get Around, and it's on the same record. Well,
fair enough. Mr. Dave Jackson, fair enough. And you see how I turned my screen off. Fair enough. Wow. This is the second time that he's on it right before the next question. So yeah, we're gonna discuss. Stay right there with me, brother. Stay right there because we're gonna get there. But you're right. What you're bringing up is 100% true. Again, it's sort of the play on like which version of their POV when it comes to women at this point. And I do appreciate P's other fork in the road for it, and it would have been super cool if I was that cool enough to come up with that. But I do respect that because I think that would have been a cool challenge. I like throwing curveballs, and I think that kind of curveball to the room would have been like, oh shit, okay, I see where you're going with that. So I appreciate that. It would have been
some bail though. I'm gonna shoot you some bail. I'm gonna pick Pac on this one.
You ain't gonna be no fool, playboy. You're him. You want to go Snoop, you can go Snoop. But if I appreciate you, if that's the way you want to go.
No. Holistically, I'm picking that song because of where we were at the time, the environment where we were in. We were still in the middle of crack. That calmed down picnic, calm people down. That was like a get along song where people, the OGs, be like, "Yo, no, calm down, yo." The
riots had happened by that point too, right? Already on the west side.
Yeah. It also was something where you could justify rap to your parents. Am I the only one who had to look for those songs?
No,
that's an interesting point.
I had heavy beats and my grandma loved them.
I was old enough. I didn't have to justify.
I was old enough. I was a youngin'. I had to justify. I felt like I was personally selling hip hop to my parents. Like, look,
you didn't have Heavy D. Heavy D had nothing but love for you. Everybody's
Heavy D was a safe man.
Yeah.
I got enough.
Like Heavy D in the crib and then walk outside and play NWA and it was cool.
Yeah, no, there's there definitely were levels to it, but I think a lot of Keep Your Head Up, and the reason that it resonated so much is, and that's my choice, by the way, it was Tupac's own life and influence. And when you look at the dichotomy of what he was, of who he was, and the duality in who he was, a lot of that came from who his mother was, right? And that she had these two sides to her. And you almost start to wonder, I'm sure, in a complex mind, is one side influencing the other side to do whatever is right or wrong? Do you know the fact that she's coming from an underprivileged background, finds her way into a situation that should be affirmative and being with the, you know, the run and being a part of the Black Panther movement, then being amongst and watching women get abused within that movement, then crack hits, they funnel that into that system. So then there's a whole other follow-up to it. Then motherhood, trying to beat that challenge, instill certain values into her kids, but at the same time struggling with her own addiction. It's like, it is a true, this song is a true representation and introduction to the complexity that was Tupac. And when you look at him, you see all of that in his music. I feel like this song to me is the one that stands aside, along with, as Dave said, I Get Around, which sits, to your point, Jules, on the complete opposite fucking side.
So this is again the Gemini spectrum that we're gonna get into. Like I said, we're gonna talk about the album.
You broke it down.
You broke
it down. I just like that song. I made sure that song made the record, and that was one Miss Jada Smith.
She was in the video. You're right.
She made sure that record got onto that album and told him you need to do something positive. So there's also.
What is it about that record though that
I'm about to change my vote. Jada be getting on my nerves.
This is young innocent Jada. This is young innocent Jada, not jaded Jada.
No. This is Jason Lear, Booty on the Grass, Jada. We can let that slide.
Yeah.
This Peaches. This is Peaches. I'll take Peaches. All right, got it.
Peaches.
Low down, dirty. Yeah.
Well, I like Peaches. Peaches cool.
Like I said, I'm just going with the vibe because I want to dissect some of this more conversation we're talking about these two great artists again with these two breakout albums. Is Keep Your Head Up sort of the vibe that I'm getting from the room at this point, or does someone want to stand differently and feel, you know, sort of, and you're allowed to, you know, obviously go the other way, or are we all one side here as well?
Keep Your Head Up.
You as well?
I think Keep Your Head Up. It was the more, I think also the more crossover record and bigger record for this one.
Iconic record,
yeah, for sure.
It was a summer record. It was
a summer record.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was. Yeah.
Back to school shopping.
Barbecue season heavy.
And I'm gonna say,
it
was that record is a timeless record as well too.
Timeless.
Yeah.